This morning I opened my Bible, chapter 32, Jeremiah, verses 6 to 8, and it was about Jeremiah's land's purchase. At that time the Lord sent me a message. He said, "Your cousin Hanamel, son of Shallum, will come and say to you, 'Buy my field at Anathoth. By law you have the right to buy it before it's offered to anybody else.' Then, just as the Lord had said he would, Hanamel came and visited me in the prison. He said, 'Buy the field at Anathoth in the land of Benjamin. By law you have the right to buy it before it's offered to anybody else. So buy it for yourself.' Then I knew for sure that the message I had heard was from the Lord." I was thinking to myself why I'm reading this chapter and what it means my life today. And it's very interesting chapter because actually, as you heard, Jeremiah was in a prison and the land he's speaking about was occupied. So it was very strange. Why would the person make such a bad business decision and buy a land which is occupied? But Jeremiah was doing it. And why he was doing it? He was doing it because he was trusting in the Lord. And the Lord has promised that he will rebuild Jerusalem and that he will bring people back. So he said yes, and he bought the land. What was also interesting that when he was buying the land, he had to do it publicly, and so everybody was seeing that he was making this humanly speaking bad business decision and buying a land which is occupied. And I was thinking that in my life that I have received promises from the Lord. When you look at the real life and you look at the situation in your life, that nothing really shows up that they can be fulfilled. But that is the Christian faith. Confident assurance that what we hope for is going to happen. It is the evidence of things we cannot see yet. I was praying one day in park, and I was saying to the Lord that maybe this promise is not true. Maybe I have misunderstood something, because you really think that sometimes you really think that you are a little bit silly or even stupid. Because you look what you can see and nothing really, not even the smallest thing testifies that this can happen. And I heard back from the Lord, that Lord asked me, have I ever in your life not fulfilled that I have promised? And I said, no, you have. You always have fulfilled that I have promised. And the next day my friend sent me the verse from Ezekiel 36:36, and it says the following. It says, "Then the nations all around, all those still left, will know that I, the Lord, rebuilt the ruins and planted lush groups in the wilderness. For I, the Lord, have promised this, and I will do it." And that was very, very encouraging for me, because that is the truth. And I want to tell you the story about my mother. When actually this spring she got very, very sick. She was taken to the intensive care because her kidneys stopped working at all, and she was in a very bad condition, but she was taken care of and she had to start to do the dialysis. I visited her at the hospital and she was sleeping, and I started to pray over her, and I prayed and I prayed, and I just got this one word, and it was life. And I started to hold to this word, but then some doubts came into my mind, because I remembered this verse from John 11:25. Jesus told her, "I am resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they are like everyone else, will live again." And then I thought to myself, maybe God sent me this verse, and even if she will die because she's a Christian, she will be in heaven and live anyway. But then I thought, no, but I just heard this one word, life. So every time I visited her, I prayed this word over her and I anointed her with oil. But then one Sunday after church, I felt I have to call her because before I'm going. So I called, and her voice sounded very tired and very weak, and she said, the doctor is just standing next to me and I will give the phone to him. So I talked to the doctor, and the doctor said that a very serious infection has started, which has really influenced all her body, and that they are immediately taking her to the intensive care unit, and that I will not be able to visit her in today or even the next day, and this is very, very serious. And so the next day I went and I got into this unit, and I met with the doctors, and they said that this is a very, very serious condition. She is very old. She's already 75 years old. Her kidneys are not working, and now this infection, which started in her legs, it is very hardly treated, even with severe strong antibiotics. And so my mother was in care unit, and it was a huge room, and only 3 people were laying in this room. She was connected to all these wires and all these machines. It looked more like a space station, and like some more than 5 people were just serving these 3 people and trying to keep them alive. When I saw that although I have seen many injured people in my life, my son and my father, this was really, really scary, and it started to become very hopeless for me, because what you see really influences you a lot. And also I talked with the doctors, and the doctors said, well, you have to understand, this is really, really, really bad. And then I still prayed about her, and I went home and I opened my Bible, and I found this place in the Bible, and it's about how Jesus heals a bleeding woman and restores a girl to life. And I opened it and I read that whole chapter, but one sentence especially stood out for me, and it was what Jesus said to the Yair, and it was, don't be afraid, just trust me. And the other one was what Jesus said to the woman, daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace. You have been healed. So I started to hold on to these 2 verses in the Bible. When I visited my mom on Good Friday, her condition has gone much, much worse. She was starting to see some hallucinations. She didn't recognize the relative I had with me to visit her, and she couldn't speak anymore. She was just sleeping, and I have to say honestly, she looked already almost like a dead person, and that was really a crucial point in my faith. And actually I prayed to the Lord that if it's time for my mother to be with him, then I'm releasing my mother into his hands, that if it's a day for her to pass away. And then I just felt in my spirit that the Lord says that it's not the time yet. And it was very hard to believe. So again I took out my oil and I started to anoint her again, and I prayed life over her, and that promises that the Lord has told me before. And then we just left, and I called my mother's friend and I said that the situation is really, really bad, and that it's very emotionally hard for me to visit her. And she said okay, that the next day she will go instead of me, and that we will change. So the next day I received a call from her from the hospital, and she said that she cannot believe what I told yesterday, because when she entered this intensive care unit, my mother was sitting up and she was smiling, and she was actually eating her lunch, and she was recognizing her and feeling pretty fine. And since that moment, really my mother's health was getting better and better and better. And on Easter Sunday she really had this resurrection, because she was released from intensive care unit and brought back to the kidney department. So on Easter Sunday my mother was taken out from this intensive care department, and she has been taken back to the kidney department, where her treatment was continued for more than a week. And then they just said one day she can go home. And this was really, really a big thing for me. First, of course, I was so thankful to the Lord that He has prolonged her life. Even all the doctors were saying that all her organs inside were touched by this very serious infection and that there is no hope. But the truth is that with the Lord there is always hope, and especially if He has promised that there will be this life. And my mother is still struggling with her health issues, but this really built up my faith a lot. And I want to encourage everybody of you who are watching this video that if you have received a promise in your life from the Lord, it doesn't matter how it looks in real life, it doesn't matter what you see, it doesn't matter what the other people say, even if they are doctors or professionals in the area, or even they are your friends or even your pastor. If they say that there's no hope, but the Lord says there is hope, then He will fulfill that He has promised. And that's the good news. That's what the faith is all about. Thank you.